we have IPOD, which is a platform of political parties in Parliament. Now we have NRM, NUP, FDC, UPC, we have ANT, and PFF. PFF has 2 members of Parliament, ANT has 1, and then DP and the FDC and so on. I'm pleased to announce to you that the spirit of dialogue is catching fire. I won't go into details, but I've been in healthy conversations with the leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, and the Secretary General of NUP, Bongwe, Louis. And we have agreed that they must take up their seat in the IPOD summit. So before this month ends, we are going to have an IPOD summit. And I'm the chairman of that summit. I once stood here and I said, if it will require me to kneel in Kavule, I'm happy to go and kneel for the sake of Uganda. So the IPOD Council has approved the procedures for NUP to join, and I believe ANT. I don't know about PFF. But dialogue is a healthy thing. If Iran and America that are bombing each other can talk, if Israel and Hamas that are daily sending missiles at each other can talk, then what is it in Uganda which can prevent us from talking? You remain who you are. But because I have seen that because of hypocrisy, many of our leaders in the so-called opposition want to pretend that if they are photographed with President Museveni, then they are sellouts. You must be very weak-minded. That standing near somebody transfers his ideas into your head automatically and displaces yours. So that brings me to some of these topics. I want to assure you that these topics will feature in the IPOD summit. The human rights situation in the country and the issues of corruption. Sometimes security agencies do things which they alone understand. But it is their duty to explain to others who are part of the state. You may have seen General Salim Saleh's note circulating on media. I never commented on it, though I was the subject. I don't know what you people read in that note, but it simply said that the Minister of Justice needs to be briefed. It has happened before. You remember 2020, when there was a wave of arrests before the elections. Some people did not understand. But eventually, when we sat with the president in one room, he made us understand. And by the way, there's a difference between understanding and agreeing. I will explain something to you, you'll say, I understand. You don't even have to agree. But at least you will have a view of what really happened. So many people were killed by police and the military in November 2020, you remember. And the Inspector General of Police deputy was fired, General Sabit Muzei. You do remember that. Because the state did not look good. They overreacted, the force was excessive, so many people were killed. But that wasn't the end of those who wanted to continue with agitation. They now formed a group of 3. One group was the P10 that was launched by FDC and Kanobesi. The other group was the NUP group, really the most amateurish group. I don't know why that group even wants to claim that they can tackle the state. In scouting language, you still call them tenderfoot. Then you had the hardliners of the disgruntled members of Boda Boda 2010, whose boss, General Kare Kaihura, had been dethroned. So these 3 groups were now mobilizing for massive protests. I've told this story before, even publicly, based on a briefing by the president in an IPOD summit. Then the security forces monitored a telephone call between one person abroad, a European, and the NUP leader. Now you all know that in the UN Charter, there is what they call Chapter 7. Chapter 7 allows the military, a foreign military constituted by the UN, to invade a country to protect civilians. Former Speaker of Parliament had created a very, very big center of power, to the extent that she could even influence who sits on the Electoral Commission. I don't want this one. I want this one. You remember the changes that came when the president appointed the Electoral Commission. You must have witnessed the drama. One day I'll tell you the story in detail. Some of us had our opponents sponsored heavily. Even the court case against me, you remember when there was a court case filed against me by a candidate who was number 3. Isn't that strange? But all of that, you know, a big tree falls on the small ones. So, some people are now cooling in prison. Others are still at large, they are on the way. So, in this struggle to fix parliament, a new force emerged, the force of PLU. And it is a reality we must look at. Don't look at things the way you want them to be. Look at things the way they are. So, this new force emerges. First, they endorsed the former speaker and her deputy in a statement. Then they asked me to drop out of the speakership race. And I said, me, I'm on my journey. By the way, I want to tell Uganda, me, I'm on my journey. You can even leave me alone if you don't want to move with me. It is okay, because you didn't start with me anyway. Do you know where I started? Were you there when I was starting? Even those in DP that you think are very close to me, they were not there near me. So nobody really can say that they know how Mao started or where Mao is going. Me, I'm on my own journey. How I will end, only God knows. So leave me alone. Don't even offer me advice, because you were not there. You were not there. You start saying, this is Mao's tight. What tight? There's no tight. It's me and Uganda. My tight is Uganda. If I were to have a second wedding ring, it would be for Uganda, but maybe it is this one now, this bracelet. I think this is now the one. So, I stated politely that we have to fix Parliament. Unless you can tell me that you have a plan on how to fix Parliament. Then I wrote to the NRM requesting to be given a hearing by their top organ, the Central Executive Committee. I also requested to address the parliamentary caucus. It was a big insult that I was not invited. Why? Uganda has a problem of radicalism. I've stated it here before, that there are radicals in NRM, radicals in the opposition. What we are witnessing is the two radical sides. Now, we the Ugandans who are not radical, we are the majority. So let's gather together. That is the only way forward. I have said it before. One time I stood here and I gave you an illustration. I said, there are those who want change. They want President Museveni out of the office. That's what they say. And they think that is what change means. But for me, that's not the definition of change. Because we have three things. We have President Museveni, the man. Then we have got President Museveni, the machine he has built over 40 years. Then we have President Museveni, the mindset. You must deal with all the three. And the only way to deal with it is through constructive engagement. There's no other way. You can't deal with something you don't understand. So, I told you that if the president is like a person on top of a tree, then we have two types of people who have different approaches on how he can come down. The radicals in the opposition are coming with an axe and saying, we are cutting down the tree. That will bring you down whether you like it or not. And we are saying no. Then they say, the person on the tree has bought you. That's why you are stopping us from using an axe. They don't know that that tree is the state of Uganda. So what is the point of having state collapse? Some of us are saying, let's build a ladder through dialogue and have clear rules that the person on the tree can climb down and live with the rest of us. And the citizens agree on who should climb and be up there. That's how normal countries function. Congo has done it. See, Ugandans really disrespect Congolese. But they have done one thing we have failed to do. Burundi has done it. In their own rudimentary way, they have shown that it is actually possible for one leader to leave and another leader to come. So, the response to radicalism by DP is to call for a national dialogue, so that the radicals on all sides. So the radicals in NRM do not allow me to have a hearing before the SEC or even before the parliamentary caucus. But I accepted it and kept quiet. Now I'm back